Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. For this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to make ear cuffs. If you've never seen an ear cuff before, they're really cool. It's a piece of jewelry that you can wear on the cartilage of your ear, and you do not have to have pierced ears to wear an ear cuff. So that's really cool, and you can make them so many different ways. You can have an ear cuff that's just made out of wire. You can make it with wire and beads. You can make an ear cuff, connect a chain to it, and then connect that chain to an earring stud that has a loop on it. There's just so many different ways to make ear cuffs, and I'm going to show you guys a couple different ways that I make ear cuffs, and I'm going to show you all the ones that I've already made just so I can give you guys an idea of how you can design your own. And really, I feel like ear cuffs is something that's really just experimental, and it's one of those jewelry things that you have to play a lot and just see what you can come up with. So I'm going to show you guys what I've made, and then I'll get started showing you how to make your own. So when I sit down and I start playing around with designing ear cuffs, I like to use cheap, inexpensive wire at first to experiment with and create different designs, because if I mess up, I could just throw it away. It's no big deal. So I recommend to play around with cheap wire, and if you don't have any on hand, you can go to the craft store and get, just for like $2, even at Walmart, a spool of wire just so you can play with. Or if you don't feel like going to the store, you can just take a dang paper clip and open it up, straighten it out with chainless pliers, and experiment with that. So this here was an experimental piece. I just did this with a paper clip. It was very simple. I have a spiral at one end, and then I have some seed beads, and then a loop at the other. So here's another one I did with a paper clip. Again, it just has spirals. This one I have a dangle on. This one here I did a zigzag with seed beads, and it has a spiral. This one here, I put my bead in the center, I wrapped the wire around on the sides of my cuff, and then I made a spiral on the top and bottom. This one here, I did a spiral on the top, I did a squiggly line down here, and I have just a few beads on there. This one here is a little more artsy. I did a paper bead, because I wanted some color other than just two colors, and I have a lampwork bead here, and I have spirals, and this one here is also a little artsy. I took a disc lampwork bead and I made a spiral. I put it through the bead, then I bent the wire over, and then I continued on making the rest of my ear cuff. This here gets a little more fancier. I made a larger squiggle. I don't have any beads here, but I do have one here, and then I made my little clover wire piece here. I really like this one. It's cute. It looks really good on. And here's another one I did. It's similar, but I have my squiggle part smaller, and then I added more beads to the center wire here that's at the cuff, and then to this part here above my clover. Now these ear cuffs, most of them that I've made, can be worn on the left or right ear just by turning it. So on my right ear, or my left ear, it would be worn like this, because my left ear is on this side of the camera. So it would look like that. So on my right ear, it would look like this. So you could see just by turning it, you would get a different look wearing the same one on each ear. This one here, I wanted to do something a little different that I've never seen before with the ear cuff. I took and I made the ear cuff so it goes really far up the side of the ear, and I wanted to have a bead that dangled right in front of the ear hole. So that's what I came up with there, and I did most of this just by squiggling the wire. I only have a spiral right here on my dangle. This one here, I have a dangle just at the very bottom, and it goes up the whole side of the ear. This one here is my favorite. Most of these, like I said, were experiments. This one here I did with stainless steel wire. So if you're allergic to wire, I really recommend to use stainless steel wire, because it's really good for sensitive skin and it should not bother you. And also, something else, stainless steel does not rust or tarnish, so it will always look the same. And my other favorite thing about stainless steel is it's very strong, and once I work with this wire, it doesn't really lose its shape much, okay? So this ear cuff here I made to go on my right ear, so it looks like this, but I did put it on my left ear, and it looks like that, and it's really neat. So if I wanted to wear this on my left ear, because I have such a large spiral here that's open, I could take and make a dangle that I can remove on and off that can dangle here at the bottom of the spiral. So these are just some of the ear cuffs that I've made just playing around with wire. So now I'm going to show you the list of materials you will need. Here's the list of materials you will need to make an ear cuff. You will need 20 gauge wire, and I have two different ones here. This one is antique brass, and this is my stainless steel wire, and I bought both of these on Amazon. These are the larger artistic wire spools. I will leave a link for the stainless steel one down there in the description bar. And remember, I said that you do, when you first start doing this, you do want to use a cheaper, inexpensive wire to play around. And remember, I bought this if you watch back in my earlier videos, I bought this at the hardware store, and there's just a ton of wire on here, so I've been using this wire to experiment with. Now remember, I said you don't have to use beads in your ear cuffs if you don't want to, but if you do decide, I've found that you can use so many different sizes. I've used 11/0 seed beads up to 8mm beads, and you can use a variety of shapes as well. Here is the list of tools you will need to make ear cuffs, and don't freak out because not all of this is needed to make ear cuffs. I just wanted to give you guys some different options on how you can make the ear cuffs. Now you're definitely going to need a ruler, and you will definitely need chain nose pliers and round nose pliers. Now the flat nose pliers here are optional. You don't have to use them, but I did find them helpful in this project. You will definitely need flush cutters, and the bail making pliers are optional. If you don't have them, you can use something else to make your cuff with. You can use a pencil or pen or something that has a round shape, even the handle of these smaller pliers. Now this up here is the wire jig, and I tried making the ear cuff on this wire jig, and it turned out really nice, and I was really happy with it. So I think that if you don't like working so much with the pliers, I think that you would enjoy working with the wire jig more. And this is a very cheap wire jig. I think I paid less than $10 for it. I got this back when I first started beading. It's very old, but I think they still sell the same one today in the craft stores. Alright, so this is the material or tools list, and like I said, you won't need all of this. Some of this is optional. I just wanted to give you guys some different options on making your ear cuffs. I'm going to show you how to make an ear cuff on the jig, and you can make this so many different ways depending on how you lay your pegs out. I'm going to be making this one here, and by the way, this is how I had my pegs, and I haven't moved them since, laid out when I made this one here on the jig. I'm going to show you how I have it on the jig. When you go to put your pegs in a jig, you want to put two pegs in a jig about 1 inch apart. So take your ruler and measure about 1 inch apart and put your pegs in. And then one row up in the center, I have one peg. And then straight up in my, right here, there's no gap, there's no hole in between, I have another peg. And then I have 3 more around it, so I have a total of 4 there. And then if you look down here, I have 1, 2, 3 holes. Then I have a peg here, I have 2 beside it. I skipped a hole there, and then I have 3 here. So this is my layout for my pegs. I'm going to take my wire, and I'll move this stuff here out of the way. I cut about 8 inches of wire. I thought I used 7 when I made this, but I'm not totally sure, so I just, to be safe, I cut 8 inches. I'm going to start with the end of my wire here, and I'm going to make a loop to attach the top of my wire to this peg. So I need this loop to be kind of big because I need it to fit on the peg, so I can't make it at the very end of my pliers. I need to make it about down here. Okay, so I'm just going to make a loop like this. That's what it looks like. Let's see if it fits, and it does. It fits just right, okay? So now I'm going to attach my wire to my jig, and I have to focus in here. Hope you can see that. I'm going to take my wire just like this, I'm going to lay this down here on my jig. And by the way, I don't think this will work so well with the stainless steel wire because it's very strong and it's kind of hard to bend. This will work better with craft wires. Okay, so I have my wire attached to this top ring right here. I'm going to hold my finger over this and I'm going to wrap around this loop here, making another loop. Okay, oops, it just popped off. So I'm just gonna stick it back on. Okay, hold it down like this. I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to put it just like that, wrap it around there. Now I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to wrap it around this peg. Okay, just like that. And now I'm going to wrap it around this peg. Just going around. I like to use my nails to push down the wire. Okay, wrapping it completely around this peg right here, just like that. I'm going to pull it tight and pull the wire straight down. So now I have this. So now I'm going to pull my wire in this direction, like that. And I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to go straight down. Okay, right here. Now, you might want to put a bead on here, which is what I did. I put a bead right there. So I'm just going to pick up a little bead. Here's one. And I'm going to slide it down my wire. This is a 4mm bead. Okay, just like that. I'm just going to leave it on my jig. I'm going to turn my jig like this. Okay, and I have this peg here. Now I'm going to make my cuff. So I'm going to turn my jig again. Make sure my wire is staying on that peg. And then I'm going to bring my wire above this peg over here, so it's on the top. So again, I like to turn my whole jig and try to put your fingers over what you've already put on your wire on, over those pegs. Okay, so just like that. So now I have this. This is going to be my cuff. Here's my decorative part. I have my bead here. I'm going to do my little squiggle down here, which is this. And I had to bend this to fit the shape, the curve of my ear. But you could see, putting this up to here, what we're going to get. Okay? So I'm going to take my wire, move that out of the way. I'm going to wrap around this peg, just like that. I'm going to take my wire and turn it, come up over the next peg, like that. I'm going to turn it again, go around this peg, up over the next peg, and again I'm going to turn my jig and go up over the next peg, like that. And I just have 2 pegs left. So I'm going to take my wire, wrap it around this peg here, and I'm going to go over the top of this peg, just like that. And I'm going to stop here. And I'm going to take this off and I'll make a loop right here at the bottom. So, just with your fingernails, gently lift it up. Try not to bend it too much out of shape. Okay, I got it off. Now we will have to fix this because as you can see this looks loose here. So I like to take my round nose pliers, and first of all I want this here to be closer together. I need to tidy this up. I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to bring these 2 wires together like that. Okay, and then I'm going to bring these 2 here together, and then these 2 together, and then these 2, and these 2. Okay, so you're just going to have to go through it and fidget with it. And if you turn to the side here, you could see that it's not completely flat, and that's normal when you work on a jig. So that's where I like to come in with my flat nose pliers and straighten it out. Okay, that just made it straight. Now I'm going to make a loop right here. So I'm going to put my pliers on like this, and I'm going to zoom out because I'm a little close. Just like that. I'm going to make a loop. I can make it as big or as small as I want. That looks fine. I'm going to cut off the excess wire. Okay, so I'm coming with my flush cutters and I'm trimming that off. Now I'm going to close this up. If I want, I could put a dangle in there. Okay. And again, I'm going to come back and I'm going to tweak this. I want these to be closer. I want this to be closer. And you might notice that this here isn't totally flat. So I also come in with the flat nose and flatten this out. You could also do this with chain nose, but I really like my flat nose for this. Okay. And if you feel like this could be tidier, you could also come in here and straighten this out if you feel like you need to. Like if you feel like some of the loops are too close, you can open their pliers up and separate them more. It's totally up to you. Okay. Now, I'm going to make the cuff. I'm going to curve this. And like I said, you can use nail making pliers for this, or you could find a round object to wrap this around. I have two sizes here. This is 1, 2, 3. I have 5 of these, and there's only a total of 5 round mandrel Weber's pliers. So I have the smallest one over there in my rack. This is the second size, third size, and then I have 2 more bigger ones over there. Okay, so just to give you an idea of how large they are. I like to use this one here first. I like to come in here and I'll grab it at the very end, and I need to zoom out again. Oh, I can't zoom out anymore. Sorry about that. Okay, well actually, before I bend it, you want to figure out which ear do you want this to be on. Like I said, because of how this is made, it could be on either ear. I think I want this to be on my right ear because I like this part here down at the bottom. So if I want this to be on my right ear, you know, my right ear is over here because of how my camera angle is, I need to bend this up this way, okay? So I'm going to grab the wire just like this, and I'm going to hold this here on my fingers, and I'm going to bend this up. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to come over here and grab the other wire and bend it in the same direction. Now you might want to come in here and adjust this more. Okay. And you want to have like an oval shape like that to go on your ear. And you might have to try this on, see if it fits. If it doesn't, you'll have to adjust it more. It's a lot of adjusting going on with this. And also I've noticed when you put this on your ear, you don't want this here to lay completely flat because your ear's not completely flat. There's a lot of shape to your ear. So you want to actually put this on your ear and shape it while it's on your ear or somebody else's ear if you're making it for somebody else, just to make it more custom fit. So I'm just going to go back and fix this up a little bit. Make that flat there. And I think I need to turn this just a tad that way. It looks really good. I'm really happy with it. Okay, so this is how I made this on the jig. And like I said, you're going to want to try this on and adjust it to the shape of your ear. So now I'm going to show you how to make the other one. So I just showed you how to make this on the jig, and now I'm going to show you how to basically make the same thing, but with pliers only. Okay, so I made this one with just pliers. And I do have less squiggles in here than I do on this, but that doesn't matter. You can add more or less. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do. Okay, so to do this with the pliers, I'm going to cut 8 inches of wire again. Okay, and try to straighten it out. And then after you cut your wire, again you want to come in with the round nose pliers. And you want to create another loop, just like we did. And you can make this one smaller, by the way, because we're not putting it on the jig. But I did like the size that it already was, so I'm just going to grab it right here and make my loop. Just like that, okay? And now I'm going to hold the wire like this. Alright? And I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to bend it around my pliers like that. Now I'm going to pull this off because I need a really nice round shape, and I'm going to hold the wire like this between my pliers, okay? And then I'm going to wrap the wire around, and I'm going to move my pliers as I do this. And now I have this shape here, okay? So now I need to make the loop over here because the bottom of my loop will be down here that connects to the rest of the cuff. So I'm going to hold it like this now. And by the way, you could tell which side is the top because the top has the cut right there in our wire. So that's the top loop. I'm going to hold it like this now, and I'm going to come in and wrap my wire around, and I like to get it going, and then I take it off, and then I put it back on, and then I finish the wrap. And I made this one just a little too big, so I'm just going to slide it up my pliers and make the loop smaller. Okay, so now I have that. So I'm going to continue this. I'll be back. I have to go fetch the cat. Okay, I got the cat. Now I'm right here working on this loop here, and I'm going to take my pliers, and I need, as you can see, the wire to come out like this, okay? So then I'm going to, right here, this loop that I'm working on, I'm going to grab it like this, and I'm going to make my fourth loop around, just like that. And again, I let go of it because I don't want to completely go around. And I'm holding it like this, and then I'm going to take my pliers and hold the piece like this, and I'm going to finish wrapping this, okay? Just like that. And this loop is just a tad bit bigger than the other, so I'm just going to slide my pliers down and pull the wire to make it smaller. Okay, so now I'm going to hold it like this, and I'm going to wrap my wire like that. Okay, I'll go like that. Now I'm going to go to either my flat nose or the chain nose. Since I already have these, I'll use these. And I'm going to make a nice sharp turn right here with my pliers. So I'm going to take my round nose and hold them in my other hand, and I need to hold this still because I don't want this to bend. And I'm going to hold it like this. I'm going to grab this, and I need this to be straight. So I'm going to go like that. Okay? And I'll straighten this wire out here. So now we have this, and you can go back in and straighten out, and it does look a little bit messy because I kept bumping the camera here. So I'm just going to go back in, straighten that out, make this a nicer shape here. Okay, and just like earlier, this here isn't laying completely flat. Actually, this one's not bad. It's more warped on the jig. I'm just going to make this flat here. Tidy this up a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to put my bead on. Now I decided on a larger bead. I have a blue one here. Okay. Slide that on. And now we have to do, you know, the ear cuff part. Okay. So I'm going to take and hold this just like this in my hand, and I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to bend it like that. Okay, now we're going to need the ruler because we need the ear cuff part. Remember I said this part here, the ear cuff, needs to be about 1 inch. Okay, so I'm going to hold the ruler here up, and actually, you know what, I'll just use the markings here on my mat because these lines are exactly 1 inch apart, so I'll just use the markings on my mat. I'm going to hold, actually, for you it would be harder to tell, so maybe I should use this, sorry. Because I need to have this in the very center of my inch, that's why I went back to the ruler. Okay, hold it like this up to the ruler. I'm going to grab right here, 1/2 inch away from this bead here in the center, and I'm going to bend this part. Okay, I'll grab it again. Right there, I'm going to bend it like this. Okay, so there's half of our cuff, and now I'm going to grab the inch part that's right here, okay, and I'm going to bend it there, just like that. Okay, now I'm done with the ruler, and what I want to do now is find about center here of the wire. And actually I found that you do want to come over just a little bit to this side here, because when you bend it, it's more centered. See what I mean? It's more centered in the piece. I'm just gonna bend this a little bit more. Okay, and now I'm going to make this part here. So, like I said earlier, I did this one here a little bit different. The squiggles. I had more here than I do there. And really, you could do this however you want. So, I think I might just play around with this. Let's see. I'm going to bend this like this. Okay. I'll grab it here. Actually, I'll slide it down a little bit. And I'll bend it back on itself like that. And then I'm going to grab it right here at the end of this turn like that. And you want to keep your holes about similar in size like this. And then I'll bend it back onto itself again. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to grab it about right here. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put another bead in. I haven't done a bead yet in the squiggle part. So I'm going to slide a bead on right here. Here's a red one. Just like that. Oh, that's going to look cool. Okay. So I'm going to grab it about here now. I still have some wire left, so I could do some more squiggles here. I'm going to grab it about here and bend the wire back. Just like that. Now I think I want to get a little bit smaller with my wire, so I'm going to come in more. I'm not going to be so far out to the edge of this. I'm going to come in more to start down creasing my wire size there. And I'm going to try to use up most of this wire. Okay. Just like that. Yeah, I think I'll do another bend too. Let's play around. Let's see what happens. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to close some of this up. I might want to trim off some of my tail. Close some of this up. See what it looks like. I think I might want to do a spiral now. So, I think I'm going to do a spiral. I could either spiral it this way or that way. I think I'm going to lift this back up, and I think I'm going to spiral it this way. Okay? So I'm going to grab my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to make a fold right here in my wire. And you can make this an open spiral like I did that one pair that I have, or you could do a closed spiral. It's up to you. And I like to use this part here, my round nose pliers, a lot. I like to go in and with them, because sometimes when you use the chain nose, it wants to slip. Okay? So I'm going to make my spiral. Okay, that's what it looks like. I think I'm going to go in more. get it maybe centered. Oh, that's cute. Right there. Okay, then I'll go back and I'll adjust this to how I want it to be. I'll bring these closer together. They look far apart. I like that bead on there. I haven't done that yet. That's cool. And I can have it off to the side, or I could try to maybe center it like that. And then maybe I could come in with both pliers and bring these together. Okay, I'm going to have to put this on my ear and see how I could shape this. I'm going to bring this here up. Okay, so now I'm ready to bring in my sides here of my cuff. And I think, this part here is quite large. Let me look in the mirror real quick. Okay, I decided I want this to be the bottom. It looks really neat. I want this to be the bottom, and this is going to be the top of my ear. And again, I think I want to do this on my right ear. So I'm going to fold these cuff wings here inward. And you could use these here to fold it, but I feel like because it's tapered, I don't get a really nice cuff shape. So I really do like the veil making pliers for this. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, grab this right here, and I have to be careful because I could bend those other ones. So actually, I think I'm going to use my smaller rubbers for this. Yep. Okay. I'm going to come in here and bend my cuff in. Now I'm going to come to this side and do the same thing. Again, you want to hold this right here against your finger and fold this in. Okay, I need this to be closer together. Just like that. Lift this up. Okay, and there we go. I got my cuff shape. Alright. So like I said, if you're putting this on your left ear, you want to shape it like this to go on your ear. If you're putting this on your right ear, then you're going to want to shape it like that. Okay? So there we go. We have our cuff, and of course I have to tweak this more to get a nicer looking shape. So I just tried this ear cuff on and I absolutely love it. This part here looks so cool. I tried it on my right and my left ear and it just looked so awesome. So this way and this way on both of my ears, it looked so good. I would love to make more just like this with this section here. I love how I did that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how you can start another cuff earring. I'm going to show you how to make the cuff first instead of, like with these here, I showed you how to do at one end. I showed you how to start at one end and do some decorative wrapping, and then I added the bead, and then I made a cuff, and then I did some more decorative wrapping. Now I'm going to show you how to do the cuff part first, and then you could do the decorating. So cut a length of wire. You can do 8 inches if you want a longer ear cuff, but if you want a shorter one, go ahead and cut 5 or 6 inches of wire. And you might want to put a bead in the middle of this. I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, so I have my 6 inches of wire here, and I need to find the center of my wire. If I was doing 5 inches of wire, I would start at 3 inches and then I would do 2 inches. But since I'm using 6 inches of wire, the center of my wire will be here at 3.5 and here at 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to take my wire and hold it up to my ruler, and I should have bent this a little bit straighter. Okay, that's good enough. I'm going to hold this here to my ruler. And I'm going to grab, with my round nose pliers, right here at 3 inches. Okay? Or 3.5 inches, excuse me. Right there. And then I'm going to bend it like this. Alright? So, at this point, you can put a bead on the longer wire right here. So you will have a, hold on, let me find, an ear cuff like this. So you see how this one here has a bead on the center wire? If you want, you can put a bead on this wire right here, the long one, and it will be in the center. Okay, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to go ahead and put a bead on. And you could do 6mm here or 4mm. This one's a 4, okay? So now I'm going to put this back up, and again, you want to put it on the longer wire. I'm going to put this back onto my ruler, and my bead should sit right here at the 3-inch mark on my ruler, okay? So now I'm going to grab from here 1 inch in right here, and I'm going to make a bend. Okay, so grabbing here, just like that, I'm going to bend this long wire just like that. Okay, so now this is the center of our wire, and this bead will stay stationary in the center when you curl the cuff around. Okay, so now what I have to do, I'm done with the ruler for now. I have to find about center of my wire. Okay, you want to find about, it's hard to hold it in the camera view. You want to find about center of the wire. Okay, I'm going to grab it right here, and I'm going to bend it like this. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing to this one right here and bend it. Okay, so now you could do whatever you want with these two here. You can do squiggly lines, you can make a spiral, you could do a squiggle, spiral, you could put a bead on the top and bottom wires, just like I did in this one here. So this here, basically, I just wanted to show you how you can first start the cuff, put a bead on it, and how you can just decorate the rest. So I will leave the rest up to you, and like I've shown with all of my other cuffs, there are so many different ways you could do the other wires. This here has mostly just beads, and I did little squiggles in it. And at the end, I like to either do a loop at the end or a spiral. It's up to you. And again, you can add dangles and chains, and there's just so much you can do. I just wanted to show you how to start the basic cup, because the other rest is pretty simple to do. I've already shown you a lot. Okay, so here are some of my cuffs. This is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and like me on Facebook. And don't forget to share pictures of the jewelry you've made from my videos on my Facebook page, and follow me on Pinterest. Thanks for watching.